Okay, so you're prepping for this big application, right? Grad school, MBA, one of those programs.
Yeah.
And the statement of purpose, the SOP, it's kind of like looming over you. It can be stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But that's why we're here to guide you through it, like your Sherpa through this whole SOP thing. We took a deep dive into a guide on writing effective SOPs. Got all kinds of expert advice, real-world examples, the
Oh,
works.
that's great.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll have a roadmap to craft an SOP that, well, it'll not only help you avoid the common pitfalls, but, really help you stand out.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen like incredible applications,
Right.
but then you get to the SOP and it's like totally dry, like reading a grocery list.
Oh, I bet.
It's such a missed opportunity to actually connect with those admissions committees.
Right, totally. So, first things first, what exactly is an SOP? I mean, really, and why is it so important?
So it's way more than just like listing your grades and test scores and all that. Think of it more as your chance to tell your story. What are your goals? What experiences have shaped you? And why are you the perfect fit for this specific program?
So they can get to know you beyond just the numbers.
Exactly. They want to know who you are, as a person, if you'd be a good fit for their community.
I see. So it's about like painting a picture of who you are.
Exactly.
Now, this guide, it really stresses how important it is to hook the reader from the start.
Oh, absolutely.
There's this one example, it's kind of wild, this student who started their SOP talking about building a robot in high school.
Weird.
Is that like a bit much, or is that the kind of thing that grabs their attention?
Well, it depends, right? Like building a robot is definitely an attention grabber, but the real trick is to connect that experience to your academic journey and, where you want to go in the future. Like, did building that robot spark a passion for engineering? Did it teach you problem-solving skills? It's all about showing your personality, but in a way that connects back to who you are as a student, a professional.
So it's not just about being flashy, it's got to have substance.
Exactly.
And I guess the same goes for like highlighting your achievements. The guy talks about using numbers to make an impact. But how do you do that without sounding, arrogant?
It's a balance for sure. So instead of just saying, oh, I ranked in the top 5% of my class, think about what that actually says about you, right? Like maybe it shows your work ethic or your discipline.
Yeah, that you can handle pressure.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're giving context to those achievements, connecting them back to your personal qualities.
Okay, so it's not just bragging, it's about telling the story behind the achievement. Now, I'm pretty sure you already knew this, but you shouldn't make stuff up in your SOP. But the guide really goes into WHY. That's a bad idea. It's not just about ethics, it's about
Authenticity.
yes.
It's about coming across
Yeah.
as genuine, someone they can actually see being part of their program.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about challenges, things you've struggled with? It feels kind of counterintuitive to highlight, weaknesses, but this guide actually suggests embracing them.
It's not about highlighting weaknesses. It's more about showing growth. Everyone faces setbacks, right?
Yeah.
But it's how you overcome them that really reveals your character, like your resilience,
Yeah.
problem-solving skills, willingness to learn.
Makes sense.
Like, let's say you had to work a part-time job when you were in school,
Yeah.
right? And, maintaining a good GPA. Don't just state the fact. Explain how that experience helped you. Did it teach you time management skills? Did it force you to prioritize?
So even if it wasn't an ideal situation, you learned valuable skills along the way.
Exactly. And that's what admissions committees want to see, that you can learn and grow from challenges.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, let's say we've got this killer opening. You've highlighted your achievements in a way that's, authentic, and you've shown how you've grown from challenges. How do you tie all that back to the specific program you're applying for?
Well, that's where your research comes in. Admissions committees want to know that you haven't just randomly picked their program out of a hat. They want to see that you've done your homework, that you understand what makes this program special, why you want to be there, why NW.
Okay, so I need to do my research.
Exactly. Research the faculty, see whose work aligns with your interests, look at specific courses that excite you, or research opportunities that fit your goals. Show them you're serious, that you get what they're all about.
So instead of just saying oh, this program sounds cool, you're saying, I really thought about this, and I see how this program fits into my goals.
Exactly. Show them you get their values, their strengths, and how you can contribute to their community. They want people who are going to be active participants, not just passive students.
I see. And all of this has to be professional, right? But does that mean you can't let your personality show through at all?
No, not at all. It's about finding that sweet spot between, professional and personal. You want to come across as competent, capable, but also genuine, engaging.
Right, so they can see you as a real person.
Exactly. Think of it like you're having a conversation with the admissions committee. You're sharing your story with passion and clarity.
Okay, so before we get into the whole editing process, what's resonating with you so far? Anything standing out as, like, really important or surprising?
Hmm. Well, I think what really stands out for me is this idea of connecting the dots. It's not just about listing things. It's about weaving a story that shows how each experience, whether it's building a robot or, facing a tough challenge, has led you to this point, to this specific program.
It's like creating a constellation out of your experiences.
Yeah, I like that.
Each star represents a key moment that's brought you to where you are today.
I like that analogy a lot.
Thanks.
It's about showing them the journey, how you got here.
Right, the path that led you to this point.
Exactly.
But what about, like, the things that make admissions committees hit the reject button? What are some big SOP mistakes people make?
Oh, man. One of the biggest ones I see is being too vague. Like saying, I'm passionate about this field, but then not giving any examples or experiences to back it up.
Right.
It's like saying you're a great chef, but never actually showing anyone what you've cooked.
Okay, so show, don't just tell.
Exactly. Use those anecdotes, talk about specific projects, things that really demonstrate why you're drawn to this field.
I see. So, like, evidence of your passion.
Yes, exactly.
What about technical jargon? Is it okay to use, like, specialized language in an SOP?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I mean, you want to show that you know your stuff, but remember, not everyone on the admissions committee might be an expert in your specific area.
Right.
Think about it like you're explaining something complex to someone who's never, even taken a class in that subject. You got to break it down, but without dumbing it down.
So find that balance between showing expertise and being accessible.
Exactly.
Now, this might sound kind of surprising, but the guide mentions extracurricular activities. I thought SOPs were all about academics and career goals.
Well, universities are looking for well-rounded people.
Yeah.
Think about it. They're building a community, not just filling classrooms.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So those extracurriculars, they can show things like leadership, teamwork, commitment to something, beyond just your studies.
Another dimension of who you are.
Exactly.
The guide actually has a sample SOP excerpt from a successful applicant. His name is Ravi, and he wants to be a data scientist. I thought it might be helpful to, like, hear a real-world example.
Oh, absolutely. Let's hear it.
Okay, so here's a snippet. During my undergraduate studies in computer science, I developed a predictive analytics tool that helped reduce logistics costs for a local startup by 25%.
Wow, impressive.
Right. He goes on, this hands-on experience fueled my desire to specialize in data analytics and solve real-world challenges.
I like how he's not just saying he's good at data analytics. He's showing the impact, how it connects to his goals.
Right, and how he's already making a difference.
Exactly. And his language is clear and concise. He gets his point across without, overwhelming the reader with jargon.
And he connects back to the program, right, because then he says, I am particularly drawn to University XYZ's focus on machine learning applications in healthcare, as this aligns with my long-term goal of creating data-driven solutions for public health crises.
See, he's connecting his aspirations directly to the program, showing he understands what makes this program unique and how it fits into his bigger goals.
It's like he's not just saying, hey, your program's cool. He's saying, I've done my research and I see how this is the perfect next step for me.
Exactly. It shows intentionality.
Okay, so before we get lost in all the excitement of, like, crafting a compelling narrative, we need to talk about something equally important, understanding the requirements.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like showing up for a game without knowing the rules.
Yeah, you might be a fantastic player, but you're going to struggle if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some key things to keep in mind?
Well, first and foremost, every program will have its own guidelines. And trust me, you need to pay attention to those details. Things like word limits, formatting guidelines, any specific content they're looking for.
Treat it like a design brief for your SOP masterpiece.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so you've got your design brief. Now what?
Now comes the deep thinking part. Before you even start writing, take some time to just reflect.
Oh, like really think about your journey.
Exactly. Your academic journey, your professional journey, everything. What experiences have really shaped you? What are those key moments that, got you interested in this field? What challenges have you faced? What did you learn from them?
I see. Connect the dots between your past, present, and future.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then, I guess, gather all the information that supports that story. Like a detective building a case.
Yeah.
Make a list of your accomplishments, the skills you've developed, any experiences that have helped you grow.
So moments where you felt proud, maybe even moments where you struggled but came out stronger.
Exactly. And don't just focus on, traditional academic achievements. Maybe you have a unique hobby, or you volunteer, or you've overcome a personal challenge that shaped your perspective.
Yeah, those things can add depth to your story.
Absolutely. It's all about showing what makes you, you, right? Because at the end of the day, your SOP is your story.
Yeah.
And the more authentic and engaging you are, the more likely you are to connect with that admissions committee.
So it's about being genuine, letting your personality shine through.
Well said. Okay, so we've talked about understanding the requirements, reflecting on your journey, gathering all those supporting details. Now comes the exciting part,
Hmm.
structuring your statement of purpose.
Oh, so now we're actually building the SOP.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're putting all those pieces together, creating a narrative that flows.
like an architect designing a blueprint.
I like that. You need a solid foundation before you can start adding all the fancy details.
Okay, so where do we start? What's the foundation of a good SOP?
The introduction. That's where you hook the reader, make them want to keep reading. Remember that student who built a robot?
Yeah, definitely memorable.
Starting with a personal anecdote, a unique insight, a thought-provoking question. That's how you grab their attention right from the start.
It's like setting the stage for a captivating performance.
Exactly. You want to draw them in, create a sense of anticipation.
Okay, so once you've got their attention, what's next?
Then you dive into your academic background. But remember, it's not just about listing your grades and courses. It's about highlighting how those experiences have prepared you for higher education, how they connect to your goals.
So instead of saying, I got an A in this class, you might say, this course ignited my passion for X and taught me Y, which will be crucial in my pursuit of Z.
Exactly. Show them how your academic journey has led you to this point and why you're ready for the next challenge.
Okay, so show the progression, the growth.
Yes. And don't forget about your professional experience too, those internships, jobs, projects, anything that's helped you develop relevant skills.
Right, frame them in a way that shows how they've prepared you for this program.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the intro, academic background, professional experience. What comes after that?
Then you shift focus to your goals, your aspirations. Where do you see yourself going? And how will this program help you get there?
So paint a picture of the future.
Yes. But be specific. What are your short-term goals, long-term goals? What do you hope to achieve right after graduation? And where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years?
But connect those goals back to the program, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Show them that you've thought about how this program, with its specific faculty, courses, resources, will help you reach your full potential.
Show them you're intentional, that you've chosen this program for a reason.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the intro, background, goals. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
The conclusion. That's where you wrap it all up, leave a lasting impression, reaffirm your commitment to the program, express your enthusiasm for this opportunity to learn and grow.
It's like the final bow in a performance.
I like that. You want to leave them with a sense of your passion, your determination, your potential.
And just like a performer practices their routine, you need to edit and refine your SOP.
Oh, absolutely. Editing is crucial.
So let's talk about that editing process.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, right? We talked about crafting that story, highlighting your achievements, connecting your goals to the program.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep in mind.
It is, it is. But even if you have like the most amazing SOP, it can all fall apart if it's full of errors or if it's inconsistent. Like imagine having this gourmet meal, but with like a dirty fork. It just kind of ruins the whole experience.
Oof, yeah, not a good look.
Yeah.
That's why editing is so important.
Right. It's like polishing a diamond, bringing out its true brilliance. So the guide we looked at, it recommends these 7 editing steps. And the first one is clarifying the purpose and scope. It seems a bit basic, but I guess it's easy to get sidetracked when you're like in the thick of it.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Mm.
People get so focused on the details, they lose sight of the bigger picture. So before you even start editing, just take a step back. What's the core message here? What do you want those admissions folks to remember about you?
So it's like setting your GPS before a road trip. Gotta know where you're going before you can figure out the route.
Exactly. And once you've got that destination in mind, then you can move on to step 2, fact-checking.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Crucial. Double-check all those dates, statistics, names, make sure everything is accurate, up to date. A small error could make them question your attention to detail.
Yeah, and that's not the impression you want to give.
Exactly. Then you move on to simplifying and clarifying instructions.
Wait, instructions.
Well, not like literal instructions, but think of it this way. Your SOP is guiding the reader through your story, right?
Yeah.
Make sure those sentences are clear, concise, easy to follow. Avoid any jargon or like super complex sentences.
Right, keep it flowing, easy to read.
Exactly. And then there's this step that a lot of people miss, but it's important for that polished look, ensuring consistency. Consistency in formatting, terminology, all that.
The little details.
But they make a big difference. Using the same font throughout, having consistent headings, making sure you're not like switching back and forth between different terms for the same thing.
It shows you've taken the time to really refine it.
Exactly. And then comes the testing phase.
Testing, like you give the SOP a quiz.
Not quite.
Ooh.
But the idea is to get feedback from someone else, a fresh perspective. Have a friend, a mentor, maybe even someone who's not familiar with your field, read it over.
So you're looking for those places where they might get confused, where the story doesn't quite flow?
Exactly. You want to know if your message is coming across clearly?
Makes sense. Okay, what's next?
Then comes everyone's favorite part, proofreading. Multiple times, I might add.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Read it out loud. That's a good trick. Helps you catch any awkward phrasing, sentences that don't flow well.
I do that all the time. It's amazing what you can catch when you hear it out loud.
Right. And finally, remember that your SOP, it's not like a set-in-stone thing. It's a living document. Don't just file it away and forget about it.
So even after you've submitted applications, it's good to revisit it.
Oh, yeah. Review it, update it, especially if your goals change or you have new experiences.
Keep it fresh, keep it current.
Exactly. It's all about continuous improvement.
It makes sense. It's easy to get caught up in all the technical stuff, the formatting, the rules, but at the end of the day, it's really about telling your story.
That's what's going to make you stand out. That's what they want to see, the person behind the application, your passions, your experiences.
So don't be afraid to be yourself, to share those moments that have shaped you, that have led you to this point.
We've given you the roadmap, the tools. Now it's time for you to take the wheel and create something amazing.
So as you're working on your SOP, ask yourself, what makes you unique? What experiences, what perspectives can you bring to the table?
Think about it. We've got some extra resources in the show notes if you want to dive even deeper. Good luck with your SOP, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.